Good morning. Welcome to another episode of PropTech Power Talks for the London PropTech Show 2025. Here we delve into the latest trends and innovations in the property technology space. I'm your host, Zeenish, and today we have a special guest with us, Steve Carroll. Steve, welcome to the show, and please introduce yourself to the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for inviting me. My name is Steve Carroll. I'm actually from the UK, but been living in Australia since 2006. And during my time in Australia, I've been working within the real estate industry, but not as a real estate agent, but on the technology side of things. So a good chunk of my time here was working for realestate.com.au, which is the leading real estate portal here down under.
Oh, wow, that's great. And today we are supposed to talk about the digital shop window that we have discussed earlier. And Steve, just explain it to us. What is a digital shop window?
Well, look, I think in Australia, and I think it's the same across the world, real estate agents are very good at looking their best offline. So what I mean by that is offline is the suit they wear, the car they drive, the watch that they might have. But what a lot of real estate agents ignore is how they look digitally online. So what we know through thousands of hours of research is when consumers, when sellers or buyers are thinking about partnering up with a real estate agent, what they do is they go online and they compare agent to agent to agent, or real estate agency to real estate agency to real estate agency. And what I often say to real estate agents here in Australia is it's a bit like how we choose a movie to watch on a Saturday night through Netflix or whatever your streaming preference is. You know, through those videos at breakneck speed, and we give each video a split second to make an impression. And that's what real estate agents have got to make sure their digital shop window does. It needs to make an impression to a would-be seller that I'm the person that you need to do business with. And that is what the digital shop window is, Zeenish.
Oh, wow, that's really really interesting. And why do you think it's really important? Because we see a shift in sorting out things. Like usually we have filters online. So how important do you think this is?
Vitally important, absolutely critically important. So we know, because of technology and the way that technology has developed over the last 15 to 20 years, the days of the real estate agent waiting for a potential seller or buyer to walk through a physical office, those days have disappeared. What now happens is sellers and buyers, they research agents online and they make a decision. And so what I often say to real estate agents here in Australia is, if you want to be considered as the agent that might want to sell mum and dad's house, you need to make sure that you pass the digital test. And the digital test is making sure that your profile online looks engaging, looks unique, looks different, and reaches out to a potential buyer or seller to say, hey, look, I'm a nice person, I'm a professional person, you should do business with me. And that can be portrayed through that digital shop window.
Well, that's fantastic. And what do you think what can you suggest are the top things that agents and agencies and property managers should do with their digital profiles to stand out and win people over?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, I'll touch on 3 or 4 critical things that I encourage all agents to do is to have a Netflix trailer. So again, if you think about when you're searching for a movie to watch on a Saturday night, that trailer lasts for about 10 seconds. And in that 10 seconds, a viewer will make a decision whether or not that video, that movie is worth watching, yes or no. In the real estate world, that 10-second trailer, which I call a Netflix trailer, might be a short video, or it might be just the first 25 words that you have at the top of your profile that people land on when they search for real estate agents in a given area through Google. So what you got to make sure is your Netflix trailer is not like everybody else's Netflix trailer, because if you're the same as everybody else, then you just come over a little bit tedious and somewhat boring. So one of the top agents in the western suburbs of Brisbane, which is where I'm from, his Netflix trailer is he has found homes for 1,000 families to live their best life in the western suburbs of Brisbane, and at the same time build property wealth. And that's his Netflix trailer. And so if you were to see that and you were thinking about buying or selling in the western suburbs of Brisbane, that Netflix trailer would attract you, I think, to find out more. And so Netflix trailer is number one. The other one, which is very interesting, and I think this will make you smile, is we did a lot of work at realestate.com.au on the things that impressed the seller when they were doing a digital interview of all the agents that they might choose. One of the things that was a real turn off was if the photograph of the agent was a photograph that had been taken 6 or 7 or 8 years ago. So what I encourage agents to do is be really honest with your photograph. And we all age, but it's very important in 2025 to have a photograph that was taken of you in 2025. And if you're trying to kid or fool a seller or a vendor or yourself by having a photograph of what you looked like in 2013, that trust is automatically challenged. So get your photograph up to date and get it right.
Yeah, that's really important. So how about experience? How important is experience to be showcased on the digital shop window?
I think what is critically important is having reviews, and you know, whether or not you're looking to book a hotel or book a restaurant, we do as consumers take note of what other people have to say about a particular service. So again, I encourage real estate agents on all of their digital assets, whether or not it's a LinkedIn profile, whether or not it's a profile of themselves on their company website, make sure you've got 2 or 3 relevant, up-to-date reviews. No reviews is a no-no, and out-of-date reviews is also a no-no. And so I was working with a customer, a real estate principal yesterday, his last review was 3 years old. And what I said to him is the consumer will be asking himself, well, if his last testimonial of good work was 2021, what happened in 2022, 23, 24? Did everything fall apart? So that's important. Reviews, get them up to date and have a few of them.
What about startups? Like, they won't be having any reviews. How should they, set up their shop window?
Well, I think if you just started out in real estate, it's really important that so you can't have reviews, but you can talk about the fact that you're passionate about a particular hobby, a particular charity that you work for, a particular sport that you play, and just try and build some kudos and some value and some connections with a potential seller. So I actually worked with an agent that had only been in real estate for about 6 or 7 months, and she asked me the same question. And what I learned from her was at the weekend, she spent a lot of time rescuing dogs and cats and pets that had been mistreated by their previous owner. So she would take these dogs and cats in and she would make them better and then find a nice home for them. And she leaned on that as part of her profile. And anybody that was selling a home that also had a similar passion for that particular type of work, there's an automatic connection, there's automatic bonding. Yeah, so that's really important. So if you haven't got reviews, if you're new to real estate, look at yourself and think about, well, what's special about me? How can I find a common ground that will start a conversation? So in your particular case, Zeenish, I had my honeymoon in Darjeeling, which is a beautiful part of India. And if I was trying to start a conversation with you, that's the sort of thing that I would kick things off with.
Wow, excellent advice, Steve. So before we wrap up, any final thoughts or tips for our listeners?
Look, I think the big mistake that a lot of real estate agents fall into is they often post content beating their own chest and talking about how good they are. And the bottom line is consumers, buyers and sellers are not interested. What they're interested in is, how can you, Mr. Real Estate Agent, help me sell my property and help realize family dreams that we have. So it's very, very important that content that is posted on any digital channel offers information and value to the end user. So I often say to people, be a translator of useful information, not just a distributor of information. So what I mean by that is, if there was an interest rate cut here in Australia next week, as a real estate agent, what does that mean to people who are living in the western suburbs of Brisbane? Translate that information into format that is useful and handy to potential customers. And again, you'll build trust, you'll build credibility, and that's what real estate is all about. So, use technology to enhance relationships and build relationships and offer true value.
Yeah, that's really important, really. Thank you so much for your tips and your time, Steve. And thank you to our listeners for tuning into PropTech Power Talks. Until next time, keep innovating and making your digital shop window shine. Thank you.